Oh, so that's how you instantly send people to the dungeon. I wonder if that still works. Probably doesn't, but it's always good to know in case someone falls down there accidentally. Anyways, now I can review Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. We now arrive at the second book in the Harry Potter series, which was published July 2nd, 1998. Now this book takes place the following year in 1992. The copy that I read actually has a couple small typos that were fixed in later versions. At least, I hope they were fixed. Anyway, let's get to Summer with the Dursleys, which sounds like the name of a TV show. Harry is still being mistreated by his aunt, uncle, and cousin, but school is around the corner. However, Harry is unsure about going back to school since he hasn't received any letters from his school friends. And he can't send any letters because Vernon has forbidden Harry from letting Hedwig out of her cage. Well, Vernon is hoping to get a large order from Mr. Mason, a rich builder. Mr. Mason and his wife were coming to the Dursley home for dinner. Now, Harry's assignment for the evening is to stay in his room and not make any noise and just to stay out of everyone's way. While Harry is outside waiting for Petunia to finish cleaning, he notices a pair of eyes in the bushes. How very strange. Well, that evening, Harry goes to his room and meets the being that was watching him, Dobby, the house elf. Dobby warns Harry not to go to school since there's a plot. Dobby can't explain what's going on, though. However, he lets slip that he had been intercepting the letters from Harry's friends, believing that Harry won't want to go back to school. Well, Harry chases Dobby to get those letters downstairs. Because Harry refuses to stay with the Dursleys, Dobby uses a hover charm to destroy a pudding that Petunia made. Then he vanishes. Naturally, the Dursleys think Harry was the problem, and it seems that Vernon might be able to salvage the evening when an owl pops in with a letter from the Ministry of Magic. The owl scares away Mrs. Mason, and Mr. Mason is very upset with Vernon. The letter the owl gave was to remind Harry that he isn't supposed to use magic outside of school. It seems the Ministry thought that Harry was the one who cast that hover charm. And the worst part? The Dursleys now know that Harry can't use magic outside of school. So now Harry is locked in his room. It's looking like Harry won't be going to school until, a few days after the incident, a flying blue car stops by Harry's window. So fun fact about Ron, his dad Arthur works at the Ministry. The day of the incident, Arthur heard that Harry had been reprimanded via letter by the Ministry for using magic in front of Muggles. He told his family, and that's what encouraged Ron to go out in his dad's flying car with Fred and George to see what the heck is going on. Well, Fred, George, and Ron get Harry's things and get him out of there after seeing what's going on. Harry now spends the rest of his summer staying with the Weasleys, while Molly, Ron's mom, is very upset with her sons for stealing the car at the risk of being seen. She does allow Harry to stay. Harry is very happy to be staying with the Weasleys, but it is now time to go school shopping. The Weasleys traveled to Diagon Alley via Floo Powder. However, Harry didn't speak clearly enough and ended up in Nocturne Alley at a store called Borgin & Burke's. He narrowly avoids Draco Malfoy and his father Lucius, who had stopped by to sell some things. So Nocturne Alley is not a friendly part of this world. Hagrid was already here, though, picking a flesh-eating slug repellent, and guides Harry back to Diagon Alley, where he reunites with the Weasleys, along with Hermione and her parents, who are Muggles. While there, they meet the new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher, a celebrity author and supposedly amazing wizard by the name of Gilderoy Lockhart. Lockhart does take every opportunity to show off with Harry, much to Malfoy's chagrin. Lucius and Arthur actually get into a fight here since Lucius set him off. Well, that was an exciting trip to Diagon Alley. Time to go to school. At least that's what I would say if the magical way to the train platform wasn't sealed. Harry and Ron, for some reason, can't get through to the platform and end up missing the train. So in all their 12-year-old wisdom, they decide to fly Arthur's car to school, despite the invisibility booster not working properly. They crash land into the school's Whomping Willow, which ends up hurting the car quite a bit, and in the process of trying to stop the car, Ron's wand nearly snaps in half. They do manage to get out of the tree, but the car just ejects them out along with their things and drives away into the Forbidden Forest. Harry and Ron end up making it to the castle, but are caught by Snape, who tells them that the car was seen by Muggles, which is not good since the wizarding world is supposed to be kept a secret. Harry and Ron both are worried they're being expelled, but thankfully, they're not. Actually, if anything, all their friends respect them for how they got to school. Although, like Professor McGonagall said, they really should have sent an owl since Harry has one. I guess it just never crossed their minds. Well, school has been interesting, to say the least. Harry and his friends have been repotting young mandrakes, and don't get me started on Defense Against the Dark Arts. Let's just say Lockhart isn't the best teacher. His first day goes haywire after he brings in pixies that had to be subdued by Harry, Ron, and Hermione, so Lockhart just spends the rest of the year telling stories from his books. To make matters a bit worse, Harry and his Quidditch team find out that the Slytherin team has made Malfoy their new seeker, and Lucius bought them all better brooms than what Harry has. Well, that's going to be annoying. Is here we learn the term mudblood, which is basically a slur for muggle-born wizards. Well, Ron tries to jinx Malfoy for saying that to Hermione, but because Ron's wand is very broken and only held together by tape, he ends up jinxing himself. Whoops. Now, let's fast forward a bit. Harry is dealing with his detention with Lockhart, and while there, he hears a voice in the walls. Oh, well, that can't be good. A little bit later, Harry runs into nearly headless Nick, one of the school ghosts. Nick manages to save Harry from a detention from Filch for tracking mud through the castle. As thanks for his help, Harry agrees to come to Nick's Death Day party on Halloween with Ron and Hermione. Well, the party isn't really that great for the living, and it doesn't help that Peeves is aggravating Moaning Myrtle, who usually haunts a toilet in the girls' bathroom. Harry and friends decide to leave early, and on their way they find Mrs. Norris petrified and hanging from a torch sconce. There's writing on the wall in blood that says, "The Chamber of Secrets has been opened. Enemies of the air, beware." Well, that can't be good. And to make matters worse, everyone walks down the corridor and sees Harry and friends with the cat and the writing on the wall. Thankfully, Dumbledore and McGonagall believe there isn't sufficient enough evidence to suggest Harry was the one who did that. After that incident, during History of Magic, Hermione decides to ask the ghost teacher, Professor Binns, to tell them about the Chamber of Secrets. It's a legend that Salazar Slytherin, one of the Hogwarts founders, hid a secret chamber in Hogwarts that contained some horrific monster. It is said that the chamber is to remain closed until Slytherin's heir unseals it and unleashes this horrific monster to purge the school of all those unworthy to study magic. Salazar Slytherin believed that Muggleborns should never be allowed to learn magic. Now, Harry wants to find out who the real heir of Slytherin is, since some of his peers believe that he may be the heir of Slytherin due to him being at the wrong place at the wrong time. Harry and his friends try to see if Moaning Myrtle saw anything since her bathroom was right next to where Mrs. Norris was attacked. Alas, she didn't see anything. Harry and friends piece together that Malfoy is likely the heir of Slytherin, so Hermione comes up with the idea to make Polyjuice Potion for all three of them, so that they could ask Malfoy personally if he knows about any of this. However, the potion takes a while to make, so we'll get back to that later. It is time for Quidditch! Gryffindor versus Slytherin. The game doesn't seem to be going well due to the Slytherin team's new broomsticks, and to make matters worse, one of the bludgers seems to have gone rogue and keeps attacking Harry. Luckily, Harry manages to win Gryffindor the game, but the bludger broke his arm. Lockhart tries to fix Harry's arm, but ends up removing all of the bones in his arm! However, the plot thickens while Harry is in the hospital wing. Dobby appears and tries again to convince Harry to go home. He admits that he sealed the gate to platform 9 3/4 and that he jinxed that bludger to hurt Harry bad enough, so he's sent home. Dobby also lets slip that the Chamber of Secrets has been opened before. Interesting. After Dobby leaves, it seems there was another attack, this time on a student, Colin Creevey specifically. He's a first year who wouldn't stop taking pictures of Harry. Now, the boy isn't dead, just petrified, and when Dumbledore checks the camera's film to see what may have attacked him, the film had melted. Well, that can't be good. Eventually, Harry's arm gets better, and he and his friends decide to join the dueling club. However, during Harry's duel with Malfoy, Malfoy summons a snake. The snake goes to attack Justin, a Hufflepuff, but Harry talks to the snake and tells it to back off. Now this is where we learn about Parseltongue, snake language, and a gift that Salazar Slytherin had. Well, now that just makes his peers suspect him even more. During a harsh blizzard, Harry wants to clear his name with his peers, but nobody believes him. As Harry is angrily making his way through the castle halls, he finds poor Justin petrified, along with nearly headless Nick. Now, what on earth could petrify a ghost like that? And of course, Harry finds himself in the wrong place at the wrong time once again. Harry is taken to Dumbledore's office, where he learns the hard way about how phoenixes work. You see, phoenixes burst into flames and die, then get reborn from the ashes. Dumbledore thankfully explains to Harry that everything is fine, and that he doesn't think Harry was the one responsible for all those attacks. Well, all is well, and the Polyjuice Potion is pretty much done. Harry and Ron use the potion to transform into Crabbe and Goyle, Malfoy's two goons. They ask Malfoy about the chamber, but he doesn't know anything. But he does want to help the heir of Slytherin. So the operation was a bust. But hey, at least now they know Malfoy had nothing to do with all those attacks. Oh, but what happened to Hermione? Well, it seems the hair that she got for her potion was cat hair. Yeah, the potion isn't supposed to transform you into animals. Hermione ends up spending quite a bit of time in the hospital wing. While Hermione is recovering, Harry and Ron suspect another attack may be happening due to Filch complaining about cleaning when they see that Moaning Myrtle's bathroom has flooded. It seems someone tried to flush a book down Myrtle's toilet. The book is a diary. Tom Riddle's diary. And it's blank. Well, after an incident in which Harry's ink bottle broke all over his books, he finds out that the diary is still perfectly clean. That night, Harry tries writing in the diary, and it seems Tom Riddle is writing back to him. Tom Riddle knows about the Chamber of Secrets and shows that Hagrid was blamed for opening the chamber and unleashing the monster which killed a girl. Riddle's diary ends up going missing weeks later, and Hermione, along with a Ravenclaw prefect, were the monster's next victims. Harry and Ron go confront Hagrid that night, but they don't get far with their questions since the Minister of Magic himself, Cornelius Fudge, has come to see Hagrid. Harry and Ron hide in the corner with the invisibility cloak on. It seems that due to Hagrid's past history, they are sending him to Azkaban prison despite Dumbledore trying to convince them that he didn't do it. Then Lucius himself pops in to tell Dumbledore he's being suspended by all the school governors, which includes himself. Hagrid's last word of advice to Harry and Ron was to follow the spiders. The trouble is, they don't see any spiders until days later at herbology class. That night, Harry and Ron sneak out to follow the spiders into the Forbidden Forest. They brought Fang with them for protection. The spiders lead them to a section of the forest full of giant spiders. Now, this is where we meet Aragog, one of Hagrid's pets. Hagrid confirms that he was not the monster who killed the girl, but he knows what did it, though they do not speak its name. And, well, it seems the spiders are grateful for fresh meat to come into their home, but the flying car saves them and gets them out of there. And then the car drives back into the forest. A few days later, Harry remembers that Aragog mentioned the girl's body had been found in the bathroom. He suspects that Moaning Myrtle may have been the victim of the monster. While on their way to see her, they get stopped by Professor McGonagall, so Harry lies and says they were going to visit Hermione. Well, they go do that, and Harry notices a paper clutched in Hermione's petrified hand. It's a description of a giant snake known as the Basilisk. Harry and Ron put together that the Basilisk was attacking people and got around through the pipes. However, it didn't kill anyone since those who were attacked didn't look directly at it, so they were petrified. Another attack happened, though, and this time the victim was dragged into the Chamber of Secrets. This victim was Ron's younger sister, Ginny. Lockhart claims he'll go save her, but in reality he's running away since he's a fraud. He didn't actually do all those great things he said he did. He just took the credit for them and wiped the memories of the real heroes. Harry and Ron take Lockhart with them to the bathroom, where we learn that Myrtle was the victim of the Basilisk 50 years ago. Harry opens the chamber and they all go in. Lockhart grabs Ron's wand with the intent to wipe their memories, but because Ron's wand is still very much held together with tape, the spell now wipes Lockhart's memories. Due to the explosion of the spell from that wand, Harry gets separated from Ron and Lockhart by a rock wall. Harry goes deeper into the chamber, where he finds an unconscious Ginny and Tom Riddle himself. It is revealed here that Tom Riddle actually became Voldemort, and that he was the one who first opened the Chamber of Secrets 50 years ago. He summons the Basilisk after Fawkes stops by to give Harry the Sorting Hat. Harry's trying to navigate with his eyes closed, but he doesn't have to for long since Fawkes pecked out the Basilisk's eyes. Well, he still has a giant snake problem. So out of desperation, Harry puts on the hat, and then something hard hits his head. It seems there's a sword inside. Harry uses the sword to kill the Basilisk, but ends up getting one of his fangs stuck in his arm. And the venom is working fast. Thankfully, Fawkes is there to cry on the wound and heal Harry. But there's still one problem. Tom Riddle is still here. Harry knows Riddle is connected to the diary, so he takes the diary and stabs it with a basilisk fang, thus destroying the diary and getting rid of Tom Riddle. Ginny's okay now, yay! Ginny is super worried about being expelled since, she was the one who opened the chamber, but Harry reassures her that she's going to be okay. Fawkes takes everyone out of the chamber and they go to McGonagall's office. Dumbledore has come back, yay! Ron's parents are there too. Dumbledore knows that Voldemort was behind the ordeal and doesn't blame Ginny for any of it, so she gets to stay in school. After McGonagall, the Weasleys, and Lockhart leave the room, Dumbledore tells Harry that on the night his parents were killed, Voldemort accidentally transferred some of his powers to Harry. Harry is upset since that means he should have been in Slytherin, but that's not so, since the sword that came out of the hat is the sword of Godric Gryffindor. Only a true Gryffindor can pull the sword from the hat. Harry is on his way out when Lucius pops in upset that Dumbledore has come back. Also, Dobby's here too. He's the Malfoy's house elf. Dumbledore explains that he was summoned back by the other school governors because of what happened to Ginny. Also, they told him that Lucius threatened to curse their families if they didn't suspend Dumbledore. Interesting. Harry already knows that Lucius was the one who slipped Ginny Riddle's diary. As Lucius leaves, Harry puts the diary in his sock and hands it to Lucius. Lucius naturally tosses the sock aside, but Dobby catches it. Since Master has presented Dobby with clothes, Dobby is free! Now nobody likes to have their servants stolen from them, but Dobby protects Harry Potter from Lucius, and Lucius leaves. Well, the school year is over now, and Dobby is a free elf. Harry gives Ron and Hermione the Dursleys' phone number, and they all go home. Well, that's the end of the story. Let's analyze. There's still quite a bit that I will be referencing in the series analysis, but let's look at some of the stuff that's specific to this book. This is the first book where we start to see a bit more in-depth to the wizarding world. We find out that there are wizards who are purebloods, which means they are descended from wizards and always have been, and there are some pureblood wizards who absolutely despise the fact that muggle-born wizards exist and can learn magic at school. However, as Ron said, they all would have died out if wizards didn't get together with muggles. Actually, while we're on that subject, remember how Harry tried to clear his name with Justin? Well, Harry overheard some of his friends talking about how Harry being the cause of some of the attacks made sense, since Harry didn't like Filch and Colin was being annoying. Plus, their excuse as to why Harry sought to get rid of Muggleborns was because he didn't like the Dursleys. Even though Harry makes it clear that the Dursleys are not nice people. See, it's interesting that the truth can be right in front of someone's face, but they refuse to believe it. There was also a theme of choice. Harry chose to be put in Gryffindor. He asked the Hat to put him there. And Tom Riddle, over the years, chose to become Voldemort and do all the horrible things he did. While trouble does usually tend to find Harry, he is choosing to deal with it rather than sit back and let it happen. It's interesting to think about, and I think it emphasizes his character. Now, I want to talk about Lockhart for a bit. We could already see from a mile away that he was a fraud because of his actions and how highly he praises himself. While he isn't a dark wizard tied to Voldemort like Quirrell was before, he still wasn't a good guy. He's wiped so many memories over the years, but then fell on his own sword. Honestly, he had it coming. Overall, I still like this book a lot. It's so good. And it has that same magical fun time that the previous book had. Plus, it allows us to see more of the wizarding world in depth. I still love that we're learning about the world with Harry, since he still doesn't know a whole lot. My dad read this book to me as well when I was a kid, and naturally I wanted more, so I ended up grabbing his copy of Prisoner of Azkaban and read that on my own, but that's a story for another time. I would recommend this book for ages 9 and up. It's still that same fun story, but things are starting to get a little more complicated as we're learning more about the wizarding world. Now the movie is what I would also consider to be much closer to the source material in terms of adaptations. There are still a few liberties taken, like how Lucius gave Dobby the diary with the sock in it, instead of Harry just putting the book inside the sock and Lucius just throwing it for Dobby to catch. That's just one of them, though. The movie is still a good time and keeps the themes and vibes of the book, but I would recommend watching it. And that was Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. I know that was a lot to unpack, but there's actually quite a bit of foreshadowing to future books in the series. But that's another story for another time. I hope you all get to enjoy this as much as I did. Happy reading!
Masters, what are you doing at this time of night?
Nothing?
Well, if you're trying to open that door, it won't work. While it can come in handy, too many people have been falling in accidentally, so Peach had it fixed up.
I see.
Well, try not to make any more noise. Some of us are trying to sleep.
Of course.
Good night.
Good night. Forever.